What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be the third video on stress-free college. Hopefully you've seen the first video on the beginner level and then also the second video on the intermediate level. And at this point, most students really don't get to the advanced side, at least in a 4-year degree. But if you use these tips, you will have a stress-free college experience. So the advanced student really doesn't procrastinate that much, and they also don't stay up late that often studying. Obviously, life happens sometimes, but for the most part, you have a schedule, you stick to it. Well, the next tip is this: time blocking. Okay, step number one for the advanced study stress-free college is time blocking. Make sure that whenever you're time blocking, you're saying the day before, here's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Here's when my day starts. Here's when my day finishes. So I'm gonna fix my budget or whatever. Put all those things in and you'll see, man, I really don't have as much time during the day as I thought I did. And when you time block, it will help your day so much better. And you'll also be able to better anticipate how long it takes you to do certain projects. So when you're doing at the advanced level, I'm looking for time blocking that's not just your school, but also just your whole day. Step two is look at the semester as a whole. Up to this point, we've started by looking ahead 3 days in this semester and then looking ahead a week. This time I want you to look at the semester in all 16 weeks or 8 weeks, depending on how your college operates, and look at when are the busiest times of the semester and when are the less busy times, because you'll notice that if you have a midterm, that is probably not the time to try to get the final project done in your classes unless you're just way ahead. But at the beginning and right after midterms is probably going to be a good time to start working on some of those papers. When you look at the semester as a whole, this will also help you if you're involved in something personally. Maybe you have a wedding that you're going to, or you have something for work this week and you really don't want to have that paper due this week because you have other things going on. Well, when you look at the semester as a whole, it'll help you get ahead and you'll be able to see, here's where I need to get this project done, and you can set that time aside so that you can better anticipate what's going to happen. It'll make the semester flow so much smoother, and instead of having times where you're so busy and stressed out and frustrated with life, and then times where you're not busy at all, it'll just kind of be medium all the way through the semester, and it'll be able to help you rest too. So make sure that you look at the semester as a whole. Step three, read about time management. If you understand time management and how your brain works, now whenever you sit down to study, instead of fighting upstream, trying to use techniques that really make you waste your time, or it takes you 3 hours to get something done instead of what could be 1 hour if you knew how your brain operated better. If you read about time management, it'll make a huge difference. So a couple of books that really have helped me, one of them is Deep Work by Newport. He talks about getting into a flow state. If you've ever been studying and time just flew by, or you've been doing any project where time started flying by, that is what he's talking about, and it's a really efficient way to get things done. There's lots of ways you can enter into that flow state, and he talks about different triggers like smell and sound and all these different environment factors that you can influence so that you can get into that deep work session a little bit faster. So Deep Work is really good. There's another book called The Only Skill That Matters that deals with learning. Ultra Learning is a book by Scott Young, and he talks about learning languages really quickly. That one's helpful, and building a second brain. And one last book, guys, is called Feel Good Productivity. That's by Ali Abdaal. He just wrote that this past year. And these books are very helpful. And whenever you start reading about studying or reading about being more efficient in time management, you're going to see yourself become more creative and enjoy the process more. So read about time management. Step four, improve studying. A few ways that you can improve your studying. I mentioned earlier, tracking your studying is one of the ways to do it. So if you have a test coming up, whenever you're managing your time well, like earlier I talked about time blocking, when you time block consistently and then you update how long it took you to do a certain task, you can better anticipate what's coming up. So you know that you have a paper that last time it took you about 6 hours to do a paper like this. Well, now you know, okay, I just need to plan 6 hours into my week. I don't even got to use my weekend. I'll just do it here. So it's up to you how you get it done. But whenever you improve your studying, I'm talking about tracking your studying. Also, change your environment. If you study in the same spot every single time, it's just going to get boring. So don't do that. Make sure you improve your studying, and then you're ready for step five. Step five is set your devices up for success. A lot of people, whenever they study, they let all the notifications on their phone grab them at any time. And I would heavily advise you, do not do this. When you have something like an iPhone, there are a lot of people who are experts in getting attention of the user. So your iPhone is set up so that it can distract you at any time. And when people design the apps, they're people that understand attention spans and all that stuff way better than you do. So if you have all your notifications on and all the alerts and everything, your phone will be buzzing you constantly your entire day, right? So I advise you to study on the silent mode. One of the apps that's really helpful is an app called Forest, and it lets you track the time that you're doing a project for, and you can also change the label of the project. So for me, I have a sermon prep, I have a studying for school, and a projects, these different categories, and I just hit start on the timer, and I know that when that app gets going and the study session gets going, it locks down all my other apps. And that's just a fancy app, but you can put your phone completely off. You can turn it off. I don't like to do that because I use like Spotify for the background music, but just make sure that your phone is not going to buzz you 24/7 when you're studying, so that once you get into the zone, and if you go back and read that book, Deep Work, it talks about how it takes like 20 minutes just to get into this phase where you're really focused. And if you're constantly being notified by your phone, you're not gonna be able to do that. So make sure you set up your devices for success. That brings us to step 6, which is rotate your projects. One of the things that you'll find in college is that some papers they require something different of your attention than watching a lecture. So you might decide, I'm gonna do the lectures in the evening and I'm gonna do the papers in the morning. Whatever is the hardest project for you to do is probably best for you to do when you're most focused. Maybe you're somebody who the evening is your most focused time, so you're a paper at night person. However you're wired, just know how you're wired, experiment a little bit, and then rotate the kinds of projects that you're doing. One thing that happens for me is if I sit down and I try to read 100 pages, I don't think I've done that very many times, and pages 60 and on are really hard for me to stay focused, and then I end up rereading paragraphs, and that's because my attention's gone. Well, if instead of sitting down for an hour, I can sit down for 20 minutes and read, and then rotate and watch a lecture, and then rotate back to reading. When you rotate projects, it'll make a much better use of your attention span, and you won't find yourself getting burned out as fast, and you won't find yourself having to redo the same work as much. So rotate your projects. Step 7, write down all your assignments. You might be a digital calendar person, or maybe you're somebody who you like to use the paper calendar. I think I mentioned in one of the other videos, I'm kind of a mixture of both. I like to write down all my assignments in the paper calendar and then update my days according to the digital calendar. So when it's Sunday night, I'm gonna look at my digital calendar and see what do I got going on for tomorrow, and any odd events, I'll put them in there. But the paper calendar kind of serves as these are assignments that are going to be due that I have to be ready. And I know that it's not going to be stored on a cloud, where sometimes, I feel like it's probably never going to happen, but I just feel like I'm going to lose something if it's all stored digitally. So whatever you do, make sure that you write down all your assignments. That way, when it's Sunday night, you can look and say, okay, I've got everything done this week. And at a quick reference, instead of looking up in the syllabus and filtering through what page are the assignments on and what are the dates and all that stuff, you can already have everything written down in one place. And this will take a lot of time if you do it all at once. I usually like to take the first few days of a semester as it's getting going and put all the assignments down so that I can at any time reference if what's due at what week. So that's how I do it. Do it however you want to, but make sure you write all your assignments down. Step 8 is our last step, and that is viewing the purpose of school not just for a grade. So many people, whenever they go to school, they just try to get an A or a B or whatever's a quote unquote good grade for you. And it's easy to miss out on learning opportunities. If you view school as a grade, you could be somebody who procrastinates and does things last minute their whole 4 years, and they get through no problem, 4.0 straight A's, but they didn't learn that much. So don't be someone who views school as just a grade. View it as an opportunity to learn, so that whenever you finish a project early and you know that I'm still in this class, I'm going to continue learning on this concept. Or I was doing this project and I already got it done, I got a good grade on it. But if the point is to get a good grade, you're done when you get a grade. But if the point is to continually learn, then when you get a grade, that's just a checkpoint. And you can spend the last week when you're ahead of schedule looking at something else that made you curious on that topic. So don't view school as just a grade. I can't stress that enough. That is a life-changing fact. So make sure that you view school as an opportunity to learn, and it'll make a huge difference. All right, guys, those are the 8 steps. You will have a stress-free college experience if you apply these steps. And I can't stress to you enough how awesome it is when you apply these a couple at a time. Don't do too many, and you're able to just enjoy life better and learn more. So I hope these videos were helpful. And if they were, go ahead and leave a comment for me, something you'd like to learn more about or another question, and we'll see you guys in the next one.